So she ended up pretty much escaping out of Egypt with me in like a basket,
Wow.
Moses style. I enjoyed it all, and seeing all of that and having that access to all that types of music here in New York, definitely, I feel like created a very well-rounded kind of musician in me. And another reason why I was having problems is that my tonsils were not allowing for the breath to get through. So I was like muscling and I was like lifting my chin a lot, like to reach certain notes. So my vocal cords were muscling against each other.
I think that also the fact that you almost lost your gift, or you could have lost your
Yes.
gift,
Yes. That
is
too.
probably another reason why
Oh yeah.
you keep going.
100%.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Rubbing Shoulders podcast, episode 6, with yours truly, your host, Evan Quiñones. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast or wherever you get your podcasts. Which reminds me, if you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a single upload. And if you're listening on any podcast platform, make sure you're following the podcast. Make sure you're following the show so that you don't miss a single episode. We release episodes Mondays now, both the audio version and the video on YouTube. So both of those are released on Mondays. So make sure you're following so that you don't miss whenever they get uploaded. Please excuse my facial hair and my hair in general. I haven't gotten the chance to cut it. And so it's a little bit much right now, but it is what it is. Also, I've decided to wear my hoodie because it has been a rainy, cold, wet weekend in New York City. And I figured why not just use my hoodie, because it's casual, cozy kind of feeling. So I went ahead and did that. So, so I'm excited for today's episode and today's guest. She is an she's amazing, talented, up and coming singer-songwriter, Amira B, who lives right here in New York City. It's funny how I actually discovered her. I follow someone on Instagram who was actually at one of her performances. I don't know if she was performing at a bar, a club, or a restaurant, but the person that I follow actually recorded her performing and uploaded it to their stories. And I'm like, who is this talented singer? Like, who is she? I want to know more about her. And so I reached out to her on Instagram and I asked if she'd be willing to come onto my show and have me interview her. And she was so gracious and so nice about it. And she agreed. So I'm thankful to her for that. But she has an incredible story. And I'm so excited that she got to tell her story and that you guys can actually listen to it and maybe get inspired and just really learn something about yourself, from her story, So that's the plan for every episode, but I hope that comes through with this episode as well, and I think it will. But so I figured for today's intro, I do something a little different. Last week I did a Q&A. You guys sent me some questions on Instagram and I answered your questions. It was about me, the show, whatever. But today I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do some would you rather questions. Now, I went on Google and I basically Googled would you rather generator. So it's going to give me a bunch of websites that are going to generate would you rather scenarios. And I basically have to choose which one I would rather do. So I'm just going to click the first one. It's would you rather generator from randomwordgenerator.com. And I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So the first one that pops up, I'm not going to cheat. I'm just going to go ahead and maybe I'll do like 5 or 10 of these. And I'm just going to answer them. So the first one that popped up was, would you rather watch TV that's commercial free but doesn't have a remote, or have a remote but you can watch all the commercials? Wait, I'm confused. Would you rather watch TV that's commercial free but doesn't have a remote, or have a remote but you have to watch all the commercials? Would you rather watch I really have to read this more. I have to read this a few times to get it. Would you rather watch TV that's commercial free but doesn't have a remote? Who uses a remote anymore anyway? Or have a remote but you have to watch all the commercials? Honestly, I don't really care either way. I don't care about commercials. I don't care about commercial free. I guess I would go with have a remote, but you have to watch all the commercials. Um, yeah, because first of all, commercials. There are some commercials that are really funny, so I don't mind watching some of them, but it would be weird not having a remote. Like, I don't know, everything has a remote. Like I use Apple TV, and I need a remote to fast forward or to like choose what I want to watch. This seems like a very old school question. I don't know, like a very outdated question. What happened? What just happened? Okay, I just literally went to the next one. Okay, would you rather always have spinach stuck in your teeth or always have dandruff on your shoulders? Oh fuck. Um. Well, I do suffer from dandruff. Not crazy. Not It's not anything crazy, but if my scalp gets really like dry and I guess if it goes through its changes, I do get dandruff. Um, I guess I would rather have spinach stuck in my teeth because I feel like I can hide that. But it also depends where is it going to be stuck? Is it going to be stuck in the back? Like, I have all these questions. If it's stuck in the back of my teeth, like the back teeth, I'd rather have spinach stuck in my teeth because you can hide that. But with dandruff, you really can't hide it, especially if you're wearing a dark shirt. It's always going to show. So I'd rather have spinach stuck in my teeth. But always have spinach stuck in your teeth? Yeah. No, yeah. I would rather have spinach stuck in my teeth. I don't know. I guess that's my final answer. Okay, next. Would you rather be in a quiet room with someone tapping their foot or clicking a pen? I'd rather have someone, I'd rather be in a quiet room with someone um clicking a pen because I know that that's going to be like the same volume. Like it's not going to be loud. It's not going to be as loud as someone tapping their foot. Because that can always, depending on how they tap their foot, is it really loud, like heavy, or is it light? Like you just never know. But with a pen, you know that it's going to be the same sound, I guess, the same volume. So I guess I'd rather be in a quiet room with someone who is clicking a pen. Next, would you rather be intelligent but poor or stupid but rich? I'd rather be intelligent but poor. Um, I grew up, so we weren't the richest family in, obviously we weren't super wealthy, but we got by. Um, and I never suffered. I was never hungry. I was never, I know I got all that I needed. But I'd rather be intelligent because that's something that I feel like it's more valuable and it's it's more important to be smarter than it is to be rich, I guess you can say, because you can always find a way to, if you're intelligent enough, you can always figure out how to get yourself out of a situation such as being poor, I feel like. But if you're stupid but rich, who's to say that you're going to lose all your money because you don't know how to manage your money? You don't know how to um you don't know how to manage your money. So like like if you're stupid, it just doesn't make any sense for you to have money. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I'm like confusing myself, but yeah, I guess I'd rather be intelligent but poor because I can find a way to get myself out of that situation. I feel like. Would you rather wear clothes that are a bit too small or wear clothes 3 times too big? Um, I feel like well, yeah, I'd rather wear clothes that are three times too big because if it's too small for me, it's going to be too uncomfortable. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm like gasping for air. Um, and, I feel like you can get away with having baggier clothes. Like, you can make it look good. But with super tight, super tight clothing, like, it looks a little weird. Like, are they breathing? Are they able to breathe? And I don't want to have to go through that. So I'd rather just have bigger clothes. Um, yeah, I'd rather have clothes that are three times big. Would you rather have lips made of teeth or teeth made of lips? Um, would you rather have lips made of teeth or teeth made of lips? I'd rather have teeth made of lips because I don't normally smile with my teeth. Like I usually just smile like this. Unless I'm laughing and like talking to someone that can really make me smile wide, it's very rare. Like in pictures, like I rarely show my teeth. So I feel like I can get away with having teeth made of lips. I can just hide them. I would never smile with my mouth open. I would never show the inside of my mouth. So yeah, I would rather have teeth made of lips. Okay, next. Would you rather get rid of 90% of your possessions or 10% of your friends? Um, I already have 10% of my friends. So if I don't really have a big circle of friends to begin with. So if I got rid of them, I wouldn't have any friends. But I don't have a lot of, I have a lot of things, but I wouldn't mind if most of them were gone or if I got rid of most of them. So I guess I would get rid of 90% of my possessions and then keep the 10% that I hold dear to me, like my laptop, the things that I need. Okay, so it looks like okay, never mind. I was like, it looks like the internet went out, but it didn't. Thank God. Okay, so I'm gonna do one more. Next one. Would you rather get no gifts on your birthday or 100 gifts that you absolutely hated on your birthday? I would rather get no gifts on my birthday only because that already happens. Like I don't really get gifts and that's okay with me. Like I don't mind not getting gifts on my birthday. I'd rather just be spending it with family, spending it with friends, spending it with people that I care about. Don't give me gifts. You don't have to give me gifts. It'd be nice. Like I'm not saying I wouldn't like reject you if you did, but I already have everything that I want. Not everything. Like I the things that I have already like I'm fine with. I'm okay with having them. I don't need the latest thing. I don't like you know what I mean? Like I'm not very picky when it comes to technology. Like I don't need the latest thing, the latest phone, the latest laptop. Like you know what I mean? Like it's one of those things that having materialistic things doesn't mean anything to me. So I'd rather just um, get no gifts on my birthday. Yeah. So that's about it. Okay. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started with this interview with Amira B, who again, like I said, is very amazing, super talented, and I cannot wait to go see her live, being that she also lives here in New York City. She performs out here a lot. Um, so yeah, let's get started. Without further ado, please welcome the amazing, the talented Amira B. So is it Amira or Amira?
It's Amira.
Amira,
Yes.
okay, I figured that.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, thank you for joining me. I was introduced to you because one of my followers was at one of your performances. I can't remember who it was, but were recording you performing, and I was like, wow, she's super talented. I have to know more about her. And here we are.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for reaching out. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. How's your week been? Busy?
It's been busy. Kind of been a very slow summer for me. Usually I'm gigging a lot, but unfortunately, I had a residency that was up in Harlem. I was booked out all the way through October, but it got canceled because the
Mm,
venue, some issues were going on
yeah.
with that. And then I had some other gigs canceled, but things seem to be picking up a little bit more. I'm looking for more things from my personal band. currently, and I'm a private music instructor when I'm not
Okay.
singing. So all the students are back. So
Nice. That's
at
awesome.
least I've got that happening. So yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah. I can't believe like the year's almost over. I can't believe Christmas is 3 months away. Like,
I know it's like the whole entire year just flew by.
where did it go? Like, I didn't even have a summer. Like, I didn't have a beach day. It was crazy. This summer just like,
This year was weird summer. Like
yeah.
I literally usually get go to the beach at least 10 times in the season. I literally only went like twice and I'm just like,
Y-
what? Like what happened this summer?
Yeah.
And everyone that I've been speaking to has said like feels the same way. Just a
Yeah.
weird summer.
It's like,
I don't know.
I don't know what it is. It was, anyway. But
Yeah, I
like,
think it's like post COVID. I think we're still like all trying to get out of post COVID and
yeah.
it's just weird to kind of be back in the zone after not being for so long. And I think we're all still kind of traumatized.
Right, exactly. But then also as you get older, just time flies naturally,
that
unfortunately.
that too. It's faster and faster and faster as we
It's like,
go.
damn,
Very
it's like,
true.
can I go back to being a kid at least for like a
Yeah,
year?
for real. For real.
Um, so yeah, I just wanted to get to know more about you and your life and how you came to where you are today and who you are today. So you were born in Egypt, right?
Yes, I was born in Cairo, Egypt. My
Hmm.
biological father is Egyptian.
Okay. And then you moved to
Mhm.
Russia as a young girl with your mom.
Yes, I moved there. I was about 3 months old, actually. My mom found out that my biological father was cheating, and in Muslim countries, typically the male will get custody. So she
Mhm.
didn't want that to happen. So she ended up pretty much escaping out of Egypt with me in like a basket,
Wow.
Moses style. But she gave me wine and everything. This is obviously before like crazy TSA and security stuff. But she basically just escaped to Egypt with me back to her hometown in Russia, and I was
Wow.
raised by mostly my mom and my grandmother until we moved to New York because my mom ended up meeting my stepdad when I was around 18 months old, and they started dating and got married
Okay.
when I was 7.
So you have no memory of Egypt or nothing.
No, not Egypt. Because I was a baby when I left, but Russia, I do have some memories still from Russia, some bad, some good, but yeah, mostly I feel like for me, it felt like my life really started when I moved here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a moving, I guess, like a couple of times like that was definitely a lot, and especially shifting cultures and learning. I didn't know a word of English when I moved to America, so
Right.
I had to learn English and all of that and kind of assimilate. And it was stressful, definitely anxiety inducing. Like I just wanted to be accepted, obviously.
Oh
So
yeah. And
yeah.
do you have a relationship with your biological father today?
It's kind of sticky. He tries to reach out. It's very back and forth. I don't know, I think I'm pretty wounded by the fact that he never really was around. So for me, I think it's more of me kind of protecting myself, but I have met him a few times. I haven't seen him in a long time, but he suffers from some mental illness issues. So it's just something that I try to protect myself in. But I think about it quite often where I'm like, am I going to regret not having kind of a relationship with him? So it's something that I'm still definitely working through and trying to figure out whether that's a relationship that I kind of want to foster and kind of build up. So
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. And so now you've been in New York since you were 7, right?
yes, I moved
7.
here when I was 7.
Do you consider so you consider New York your home? Like, do you consider yourself a true New Yorker?
I would consider myself a New Yorker at this point. Yeah,
Okay.
it's really weird to even like I definitely I'm Russian, Egyptian. I feel it, but it's like mostly I'm a New Yorker.
Yes, yes. Are you an only
Yeah.
child?
I'm not. I have a half brother.
Okay.
My mom, she remarried to my stepdad, and I have a brother who is 11 years younger than me.
Uh,
So I'm 32. He's 21.
yeah.
He also does music. It's really cool.
Nice.
We're
That's
very
awesome.
close. So. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm glad.
Mhm.
So when you moved to New York City, you were exposed to other forms of musical genres. What kind of music were you like listening to prior to New York City, like moving here? I know you learned how to play like classical piano, right?
Yeah, so I started playing classical piano when I was 4 in Russia. And then once I moved here, I continued to kind of study classical piano. In Russia, I remember listening to a lot of Britney Spears. I was obsessed with her. I actually, that whole album, I just, memorized it as much as I could. I obviously didn't know how to speak English, but I was like phonetically singing
Yeah.
whatever. Oops, I did it
Whatever
again,
you
like
were
the lyrics
hearing,
counted to a
yeah.
hairbrush. So, that was like really my first, like, I think American artist that I fell in love with was Britney Spears. And then I listened to a bunch of like Michael Jackson out there as well. My mom would listen to tapes and things like that. Once I moved here though, um I was there's just so much music and so many different
Hmm.
cultures. It's very diverse. So it was like an instant kind of shock to just be introduced to so many different types of music. But I was very intrigued with and started listening to a lot of. My dad really was into like classical rock, so listened to a bunch of that, like Steely Dan and all of that. Then I had my uncle who was very into jazz, and so I really listened to a lot of jazz growing up when I was younger. Thelonious Monk, all of that, like a lot of the piano, Bill Evans, just that was, I think, the big genre for me that I was very interested in that I never really felt like I heard or just was exposed to in a small town in Russia. And so I really tapped into like that kind of jazz, R&B, soul world. But I would say like later on, I was very intrigued about writing that kind of style myself. I really enjoyed listening to it. But before I got there into writing, I really actually got interested in musical theater. So I thought I was going to be like in musical theater.
Broadway.
So yeah, so I went to LaGuardia and I did all the shows. I went to Stage Door Manor, which is a theater camp. Ben Platt came from Beanie Feldstein. I know all these people. We literally were campers together. So and that was what I thought my life was gonna be. But then things kind of shifted once I found out that I could start writing songs. And I do miss Broadway though. I sometimes think about it where I'm like, wait, should I maybe audition again, start auditioning for stuff? But yeah, it's kind of I enjoyed it all, and seeing all of that and having that access to all that types of music here in New York, definitely I feel like created a very well-rounded kind of musician in me where I could kind of be flexible and to doing whatever as long as I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Yeah.
Exactly. At what age did you realize that you had a voice that you can sing? And did you always knew that that's what you really wanted to do?
So I went to a once I moved here, I started doing like after school piano classes and then I tried to audition. I went to public school, PS 166, but I tried to audition for this school. It was called Special Music School.
Mhm.
And it's complicated. It's a public school, but it's you have to audition in order to get into it. And you're basically scholarship based once you do get into the school. If you do, it's very small. The program from K through eighth grade, it's only one class per grade, and there's only 15 kids in a class. So it's very tiny. So it's very hard to get into. So it took me 2 years to get into because there were no open spots because I moved here, skipped the first grade, went straight into second grade, did second and third grade and gifted and talented at PS 166 and fourth grade as well. And then I got into special music school, even though I kept auditioning, there just weren't any spots available. Got into special music school. And then I was there, which is in Lincoln Center. And I was there studying classical piano. And I remember that I was very good at what I was doing with the classical piano. But we sang in chorus, and I did enjoy singing. I always enjoyed singing when I was like young, but there was this one girl in my class who just was like kind of like the star singer, and like all like if anyone kind of had an inkling of trying to sing, like she was like she met Alicia Keys, she was getting signed, like all these things were happening to her as a young,
Wow.
and she's very talented. So we were like, if we tried to sing, like we would be very kind of like not starstruck, but just like, oh wait, like no, she's the singer. And I remember this one moment where I sang, oh yeah, I sang The Wizard and I at the talent show. I think I was in seventh grade or eighth grade. This was my last year at Special Music School. And I went in there and I sang this song, and I like literally nobody knew I had it in me. Like
Wow.
it was just like, wow, everyone was floored. That video is still up on YouTube, which is really fun. But that was the moment where everyone was like, whoa, she can sing. And then I got invited to perform at the gala that year. And that really like gave me the confidence to be like, oh wait, like I have this other skill that like I always enjoyed and loved and did it for myself. But like now I don't have to be scared because there's someone else who's really, really great too. We could
Yeah.
all be great. But that was really the moment. And then that's when I kind of knew that I wanted to go to continue to like performing arts high school. And I really once I visited LaGuardia, I just knew that that was like gonna be the place for me.
Yeah.
So
You hear a lot of these stories of singers who like they enjoyed singing, but they didn't think that that dream was obtainable. Like they had to
right.
like go through something that was like a wake up call, like, wow, I can actually do this for a living, you know? It's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really interesting. So you did it. So you mentioned you attended LaGuardia. I actually went to Beacon High School, which was not that
Oh,
far from,
nice. Yeah,
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 a
I
few,
know
yeah,
Beacon.
right in the, we were practically neighbors.
Yeah. I had a lot of
That's
friends from Beacon. So
Yeah, that's awesome. But I remember LaGuardia just a few blocks away. It was like walking distance. That's so awesome.
yep.
Um, so how important is education to you? Because I know not only did you get a dual degree in music business and songwriting at what was it, Miami's Frost School of Music, and
Yes.
then you also got a master's for music in studio composition at SUNY at Purchase.
Yeah, I just
So
graduated actually in May.
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I yeah, that experience, I well, definitely I didn't go back to back with undergrad and masters, obviously, because I graduated undergrad in 2014. Um, but I felt like I there was just something missing, and that's why I really wanted to go back to school. And I think I forgot how to like be more disciplined, I guess, and like really just the practicing, just there's just felt like got stale. And then with COVID and having like no idea what to do, what I was doing, whether I should like shift gears or whatnot, I was like, well, maybe I should just go back to grad school and like hone in on the skills that I feel like are not my strengths, and not focus on my strengths, and rather than like focus on the strengths, focus on the weaknesses and things that I've been wanting to work on, which are things like production and just tapping into other genres that I may not have, have had experience in. So going back to grad school for me was really important. I'm so glad that I did it because I was in charge of like making my own schedule, and basically, and that's why I really love this program too, is that they were flexible enough to allow me to kind of see what I wanted to do and what I wanted to kind of work on. I didn't want to go back for the songwriting master's degree and learn about songwriting. I know how to write a song. I wanted to like learn more about the production skills, do some more jazz composition, like take rhythm classes, just kind of like next level. And I was able to do that. So I'm really, really happy that I was able to do that. And I think that it's just really provided me a lot more than more foundation than I even had before.
Yeah. Was education something that was instilled in you like by your mom and your stepfather?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was, I don't know if I like would have per se wanted to go to college now if I was this age back then,
Uh-huh.
looking back, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I don't know, I feel like it was important for my growth.
Yeah.
And both of my parents did want me to go to college. The master's was definitely more of my idea, but the undergrad was definitely like you have to go to college. It's something that you should be doing. Looking back at it, would I have maybe chosen to like go down just the music career and just do auditioning and stuff? Maybe, but I think that that experience was it, my undergrad was very, 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 very difficult because I had a serious vocal injury. So I thought I never was actually going to be able to sing
Mhm.
again. So I'm very, very grateful for that experience because it taught me how to take care of myself. And it taught me to like just, not forget about myself as a being and that I am a walking, talking instrument and that I have to take care of myself. And
Preserve it.
yeah, preserve it. And that's something that I don't think I was doing. And mentally it just was not all there as well. My 20s were just like kind of very messy. So I had this vocal injury and I was told that it wasn't a cyst, but it was a pseudocyst, which is the level before a cyst. So the options were that I would have to go to speech therapy and relearn how to like talk in the correct kind of like because I was actually talking in a lower register down here and then ruining my voice even more,
Mm.
screaming, doing all the things, and in college, going to football games, and just again not taking care of myself. And the options were that I could get my vocal cord snipped. Or my doctor noticed that I had really large tonsils. And another reason why I was having problems is that my tonsils were not allowing for the breath to get through. So I was like muscling and I was like lifting my chin a lot, like to reach certain notes. So my vocal cords were muscling against each other and providing friction. And that's why I was getting like this pseudocyst and cyst and
Yeah.
this rubbing against each other. And because I wasn't staying hydrated and all of those things, they were like literally rubbing without like any type of hydration.
Yeah.
So we decided that I was going to do the tonsillectomy. I took a semester off from school. I got the tonsils removed, and I was told that I would have to basically relearn how to sing, and that my endurance might not be the same because of this pseudocyst, and that that everything was possible, but it's just that it would be a kind of different way of singing for me. And I was very nervous about it and I didn't know obviously what was going to come out of it. And after my surgery I ended up getting bronchitis and I was really, really sick. Um and I went after I finished with the bronchitis, I went to my doctor for a checkup and she was scoping me out and looking and she was like, And I was like, what? She's like, I don't know. I've never seen this in my like entire medical career before. And I'm like, what? Like I'm like sitting there like freaking out at this point.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I don't know. Like your pseudocyst is gone. And I'm like, what do you mean it's gone? I thought I was going to have to like relearn how to sing, that my texture, my timbre might change and whatever. And that if it got worse, that I would definitely have to get operated on my vocal
Right.
cords. And she was like, listen, like I said, I've really never seen this ever in my entire career. I've worked with vocalists, I've worked with non-vocalists, but the only thing that makes sense to me is that you were coughing so ferociously from the bronchitis that you must have just coughed it off. So to
Wow.
me in my head, it was like, is this a miracle or something? Is this like my get out of jail free
Like a
card?
blessing in disguise or
Yeah,
something.
like
Yeah.
literally. I was like, is this like the universe trying to tell me that I will be singing and that I should be singing and this is my destiny in a way? So from
Wow.
that moment on, that was like a sign that I was like, man, I really got to like take care of myself.
Yeah.
And since then, I've been very adamant about vocal hygiene. I actually had a job after that when I moved back to New York. I was doing mommy and me classes, which a lot of singing and in the morning. And I ended up getting a pre-node from that. So I had to like go through this kind of experience, not at that same level, but I had to
Right.
get rid of that before I got into a node. So, but I've been very adamant about it. And since that pre-node, which is like 10 years ago, and I got rid of it naturally from just exercises and literally being like, hey guys, I can't work 5 days a week. Like it's
Right.
just not can't.
Vocalist. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So after that, I have thankfully not had any problems and have maintained my health in the vocal department. So
Wow. That's
yeah.
amazing. That's amazing. Um, so you've been all over Egypt, Russia, moved here, then you went to Miami, purchased. Where else have you visited or have traveled to that has left a lasting impression on you? Because I still haven't left the country yet.
Oh my gosh, you
I've been
have
here
to,
31 years, born and raised here, and I have not left the country. I have my passport,
you
it's
gotta
waiting
get
to be
out.
used.
You
Yeah,
gotta
it's
get
waiting, it's in
out.
my drawer waiting to be used, but as soon as I get my vacation time for my day job, trust me, I'm out of
Good,
here.
do it. I did like a Euro trip last summer, and it was the best thing that I've ever done for myself. You learn so much, and it just, I love like exploring other people's cultures and learning
Yeah.
about other people, seeing how people live in different places. So something that's wonderful. Speaking of that, I when I graduated from college, I moved back to New York in 2014. I was kind of lost. I didn't know what I was doing. I just had obviously that surgery, and then I sang for a semester, graduated, like finished out my whole year. It was a year and a half after the surgery, but finished out school. And I came back, and then I was like, man, do I really want to do this music thing, or am I like whatever? So I was trying to find jobs. I like ended up getting this job on Wall Street for this insurance company as like reception. I got fired on the third day. And I was like, okay, I'm clearly not a corporate girly. I don't know what I'm doing. So, and at that point, I was dating this guy who I met up here at like Woodstock reunion upstate, which is really, really fun. And he was moving out to Malaysia at that point to start a business with his brother. So he was like, "Oh, you got fired? Oh, well, why don't you just come out here?" Like, you know, we were dating prior to him moving there, and then at that point he was like, "I'm moving," and I'm like, "Oh, wow, that sucks." And then after me getting fired, he's like, "Well, why don't you just come out to Malaysia too?" Like, I was like, "Okay." He paid for my flight. I came out there, and I lived there for 4 months. I consider it my study abroad time. And I moved to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So I lived right in the city. And I'm really glad that I did it because it felt smaller and it felt easier to start my music up again there.
Yeah.
So I formed a band, I was performing out there. And that really kind of gave me, it felt like I was a big fish in a smaller pond. So I think it gave me a little bit more confidence that I lost from this whole experience of losing my voice, the surgery, and trying to get the confidence back. I had so much confidence prior to that. So it was just like rebuilding it back up. So I think
Yeah.
that experience, I'm very grateful for it because it was a lot cheaper to live out there as well. So I didn't really have to worry too much about like working. I was practically living off of my savings and then like getting paid from my gigs out there. And they would pay pretty well actually. So yeah, it was perfect in that moment of time for me to really kind of get myself back in on track. So
Yeah.
then by the time I came back to New York, I felt ready to kind of start my experience here and form my own soul band and start my project that I put out in 2017 called Define. That was my first project that I put out.
Nice.
So yeah, but that was a very interesting experience.
Yeah, it's interesting how like you kind of have to leave your immediate environment to gain, perspective and motivation and just creative drive, I guess you can say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Um, so you said you started releasing music in 2017, right? Um,
Yes.
but in 2020 you released Do You, which was that your debut album?
That was my actually it was an EP that I came
An
out. So
EP.
I'm
Okay.
I'm working towards the debut album.
Okay.
The 2017 LP came out. That was like a bunch of songs that I wrote throughout my life, like through high school and up through college. So it taught, it was a lot of heartbreak and just finding yourself. And it was more of like a soul band, like trumpet, sax, trombone. It's unfortunately not on any platforms except for SoundCloud if you have
Hmm.
a direct link, because I felt that the production just didn't showcase my artistry in the moment now. And I am thinking about re-recording some of those songs from that album and re-releasing them. But my main goal right now is really thinking about the next project and compiling the next project, because I have a ton of songs that are like out there ready to go, but it's just about getting organized and trying to figure out what kind of album I want to put out afterwards. Because it seems
Yeah.
that I've been kind of putting out different vibes. Um, and the Do You EP, which came out in 2020 and did pretty well,
I
is
loved it.
more
I
like
listened
a
to it.
thank you so much. It's an indie. I mean, for indie, it did pretty well, so I was very happy with it. But um, it's more of like a neo soul vibe.
Yeah.
And then lately, I've been putting out like singles that are more. Some of them are more like R&B pop, and then the most recent one that I just put out is just straight R&B. But I have been getting some great responses from all the different things, and I kind of like don't want to put myself in a box.
Exactly.
That's why I like kind of release whatever I feel stays true to myself. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
You should limit yourself. I mean, look at Taylor Swift.
yeah,
She went from pure country to where she is now.
right,
It's
right,
crazy.
yeah.
Um, a common theme in your songs that you wrote for Do You specifically, is like love and questioning the authenticity of a relationship. Um, you know, there's that saying that art imitates life. So
Yeah.
what real life experience did you draw from that inspired the songs from that EP?
So that EP, what came from a lot of like heartbreak from my ex who I was living in Malaysia with. And I felt like I didn't know who I was around him. And just certain days, I just didn't feel like myself, anxiety, depression. So living in a different country too, with all no friends, things like that. Um, I think those emotions, a lot of those emotions definitely have been instilled in the EP. Um, and I think that Do You, specifically the title track, that track was a response to all these emotions of like, well, who are you? And what do you want to do? And that's why in that song is really a self-affirmation song for myself, and I wrote it to remind myself who I am
Yeah.
and eventually that all I need is myself in order to persevere in hardships, um and not hardships, not hard times, just knowing the authenticity of who I am, and to always stay true to myself and to what I want to do. Hence the do you, just do you, you know, like
Yeah.
so that's really kind of that was the response to all the other songs that kind of like talk about heartbreak and just feeling like you're in sync with someone. And it kind of does tell a story from top to finish. I try
Mhm.
to do that with most of my like albums, where you know you kind of fall in love in the beginning, then there's like the song that's like, oh, you break up, and then it's like,
Yeah.
oh, here's Do You, the you
Yeah.
know like the self-affirmation song, no, we don't need you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of like the vibe of the EP. I think it tells a story, and at the end, I think Alive is the last song. It kind of just, you know, reminds you that this is what these experiences are, what keeps us alive,
Exactly.
and allows us to kind of live and yeah, just live through the ups and downs and the emotions and things
Yeah.
like that.
What motivates you to keep going, to keep singing, to keep writing, to keep creating?
Ah, great question. Some days I don't want to do it, especially
Right.
as I'm getting older. I think the role of social media kind of makes me want to not do it, but the role that social media plays in
Yeah.
this kind of environment, it can get really toxic. But I think what keeps me going is my craft, and the fact that I started writing music and singing for myself as a therapy. Especially writing, it was like journaling for me as a kid. Like that's how I would emote my emotions of whatever I felt. Um, in the moment. And some songs people have never heard are just for me. And some songs have double meanings or that people might not know or things like that. But that's what essentially keeps me going. And when I forget that it's about me, that's when it's the toughest.
Mhm.
Like posting and being like, oh man, I want to know how many likes this is gonna get, or like comments or blah blah blah. And then being like, oh, it didn't get how much I wanted, but this was such a good video, and like getting frustrated and then being like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is not about us here.
Mhm.
We're
Mhm.
thinking about all these other people and the views and that's not the vibe.
Yeah.
So regrounding myself and thinking that it's about me at the end of the day, and I'm doing it for me, that's what essentially keeps me going.
Nice. I love that. And I also think if I may, I think that also the fact that you almost lost your gift or you could have lost your
Yes.
gift
Yes. That
is
too.
another probably another reason why
Oh
you
yeah.
you keep going.
100%. It's like, well, I was given this second chance in my
Mm,
mind.
yeah.
It's like, well, what am I going to do with it? Am I just going to sit on it and like let it just, and then grow up one day and be older and be like, I did nothing and I resent it. I
Yeah.
don't want to feel regret or resentment. I
Exactly.
see that so much in like people when they get older and family members and things. Oh man, I wish I did this and this and that.
Yeah.
That is just like something that I definitely don't want in my
Exactly.
life.
You don't
Yeah.
want to ask, you don't want to keep asking what if, like what if I did this, what
Yeah,
if, you know. It
totally.
weighs on you, it weighs on you. It does.
It does. It does.
So I want to do a segment, a fun segment that I do on my show. It's called Read It and Weep, like read it and weep,
Hmm.
but read it and weep.
Okay.
Where I pick a story or a post from Reddit. It's usually "Am I the asshole?" I don't know if you've heard of these, or relationship advice, and they're pretty
Okay.
funny. Some of them are pretty funny, but I want to pick one, and then we can just give our thoughts and opinions about it.
Okay.
So this is really short, but I want to. It also there's a question behind it too. So this one says he's 20. He's a 25-year-old male, and he's asking. Well, he's saying that his girlfriend, who's also 25, won't let him check her phone. Let me get my glasses so I can read this. And my second pair of eyes. Okay, so he says, so here's what happened. We were chilling in the car waiting for our son to wake up so we could go to the park. She asked to go on my phone to see why her Facebook posts haven't been showing up in my feed. After doing that, she opens my camera roll and swipe from beginning to end fairly quickly, but generally looks through it all. I wasn't really watching what she was doing because I don't have anything to hide. Anyways, when she hands me my phone back, I jokingly say, okay, now I'm going to go through your camera roll. She does not agree. Says she'll do it, but only if she can hold the phone. Then when I'm holding the phone, she absolutely won't let me look through it unless she can see everything I'm doing on her phone. Like after like 2 minutes of looking through her photos, she's basically trying to snatch the phone out of my hands. So I just give it back to her and get out and walk home. We don't live together, he says. A few days later, she still swears she wasn't hiding anything. He asked, is she hiding something? So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about like looking through your partner's phone?
That one's a you know what? I never ever went through any of my partner's phones because I felt like I never needed to.
Yeah.
I I felt it in my bones. If I didn't need evidence. I'd be like, I already know what's
Yeah.
happening from just the actions of the person.
Right.
So the reaction of the fact, so just her reaction to him, you know, like trying to pull out the phone out of her hand or whatever, trying to like where she says, oh, I'll let you look through it, but I have to hold it. Just that reaction tells me that she is guilty of something.
Yes.
Something. I mean, I'm not saying she was cheating or whatever. Maybe she got a, unsolicited pic or she decided to
Right.
save it. I don't know, but something she's guilty of something. And
Exactly.
that's what I always look at, like people's reactions and responses more so than anything else, because that's going to tell you more than anything else that you need to know
Yeah.
than someone's phone.
Actions speak louder than
Yeah.
words. And you can
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, there's like this like intuition almost
Oh,
that you
100%.
have.
You
Yeah.
just know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If this guy is watching, she's guilty in our
She's
opinion.
guilty.
She's
Order in the
guilty,
court.
right?
Guilty.
I mean, they don't live together, so I guess that kind of makes it easier.
That
But
too.
they
I
but
mean,
they are together. He says my girlfriend, so they are a
right.
couple. But I don't know, and they do have a kid together. So
Well, hopefully they were able to work it out, but Side eye.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Oof. All right. Well, there you go, guy or gentleman or whoever you are. She's guilty, so I do what you will. So before we wrap up, I have two more questions to ask you. One
Mhm.
is, what do you hope that people take away from your music? Like maybe it's the songs that you wrote specifically, or maybe it's the work that goes into the songs, like the producing and the writing and whatnot. What do you want people to know about who you are as an artist and as a person?
I think I want people to know that I'm a very multifaceted human being, as we all are. And I have complex emotions, as we all do. And whether, I express how I express it is going to be through music. And that's why I'm kind of like, I sometimes write jazz songs, and sometimes I like, it's never just always one thing. And I think I want people to know that it's just the fact that that's just what comes out of me, and if you resonate with it, great. If you don't, it's okay. And I'm always grateful for, even I get like messages sometimes from people on Instagram or whatever, random people will be like, my God, I love Do You. Like, it's given me like so much hope and so many like dark times, or even if it's just one person who resonates with one of my songs, it's it it feels like, we're connected already,
Mhm.
and that's what we're all here on this planet for, is to form human connection. So for me, that's the most important thing. And if my music is connecting with even just one, two, a few people, I feel like I'm connecting with just more and more people in that manner, and feeling less alone, because living can be lonely sometimes. And
Yeah.
as we get older, you outgrow certain things and outgrow certain people, and you start feeling, and you see everyone around you getting older and things. So that feeling of connection, and being like, you know what, I'm not as alone as I think I am. That's something that's important to me.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I think it was one of the purposes behind me starting this podcast was like I love interviewing people and getting their stories. And everybody has a story. It doesn't matter where you come from or what you do. Like everybody has a story, and it's something that people can learn and be inspired by. So if this show can inspire one person, I feel like that's enough for me, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So knowing everything that you know now at this stage of your life and your career, I mean, you're only 30, 32.
Yeah.
32. What advice would you give to little Amira if you can talk to her?
Whew, that's a toughy one. I think about that all the time. I think I would give her advice into really believing in myself, and just not thinking about what other people think, or try to compare myself to other people, just staying true to myself and what I want to do. Because I think a lot of my younger years, I was trying to cater to other people, and whether that meant in my career or relationships, but like doing this, oh, I think this is cool. This will put me on the map if I'm going to be doing a cool cover or whatever. But it didn't feel authentic or true to myself in the moment. And that's why it didn't like resonate. So I think at the end of the day, it's about staying true to myself, and continuing down the path of finding authenticity, and just never giving up, and believe and continuing to believe, because I feel like there's so many moments where I get frustrated and fed up that things are just like not working out, whatever that means. And it's
Mhm.
just like, you just these are things that are out of our control, and just trusting the process
Yeah, trust the
and the
process.
journey, trusting the
Yes.
process and the journey.
It's a marathon,
That's
not a
because I'm
sprint.
impatient.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I'm an
Mm-hmm.
impatient girly. So I
Yeah.
want things immediately, and I always have been. So little Amira, calm down.
Calm
It's
down.
okay.
Yeah.
Trust the
But
process.
I also think social media kind of, we live in a day and
It
age where we want
it
everything,
does. Yeah.
instant, so,
Instantaneous.
and
Instantaneous.
it's a curse, unfortunately,
Yeah,
it's
it is.
it's sad. So well, thank you again for joining me. I'm gonna definitely make it to one of your shows. I'm gonna look
Yay.
out
Awesome.
for, yes, I'm gonna look out for your next performance, and hopefully I can make it. I definitely want to see you live for sure.
Definitely. And yeah, keep in touch, and
Yeah.
I'll see you at a show,
Yes.
or maybe around.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Well, you
Alrighty.
have a good rest of your night, okay?
Thank you so much. You too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.